Wait a minute, where the bongos at? Huh?
Loser.
Where's the bongos at? Why should Vic be the only one to be able to give? Where is Vic?
I don't know. Vic, where are you, man?
Listen, we're back. Welcome to Dudes and the Mexican. I'm just a dude, Peter Soprano. To my right is the resident Mexican, David Quinones.
Órale, mi gente.
And Dave, we had a good week in sports, a lot of different topics, whether it's football, baseball, everything going together. Let's get it started with, but where is Vic though?
Vic
the Super Diva.
is. He's in Point Pleasant now. He's on the beach somewhere.
I don't know where he must be somewhere because he's not here right now. I mean, we need to cheer just for him, just like he did with you when you weren't here.
Nah. Negative.
All right, so let's get it started. This week we talked about there was Jay-Z joining the NFL, working with Roger Goodell, and the controversy started because he's been a big Colin Kaepernick guy, all about social injustice, and now a lot of people are getting on him saying that this was a cop-out move, this was a sellout move. Well, what's your thoughts on it?
Listen, you're not going to be able to satisfy everybody.
Yeah.
That's the when you're mixing business with pleasure, so to speak. A lot of things can get misconstrued. I was never a real fan of Jay-Z getting involved in sports.
Yeah.
With the whole Rock Nation and all that. I mean, he is making some noise though. I mean,
still can't pay his box's medical bill.
But it's tough, man, and he's in a tough situation because obviously he is a businessman. He's trying to gain a majority stake in the NFL teams, and then you got to deal with the politics, so to speak. So when you deal with those politics, it can get real slippery.
Yeah.
Every word you say, it depends on the eye of the beholder. Exactly.
Under a microscope, everything you say, especially the bigger you get.
So it's tough. I mean, listen, is he going to satisfy everybody?
Of course not.
No, he's not going to satisfy everybody. But he's got to also know that by putting himself out there with the running and obviously, like I said, trying to get a team, getting into those politics of the sport of football, you're going to get a lot of critics, and they're gonna be getting you on every little thing you say, every little word you say. So,
was this a money grab, just now?
I don't know, man.
Or do you think he's actually trying to go in there and do something?
It's kind of tough, man. I'd have to say business first, man.
Because that's
money. Listen, money talks, and he's a businessman, so I would definitely have to say. It's the money first for him. So
that's what
I don't care
says.
what he says. I mean, he could say, "I'm going to make change."
Yeah.
The league doesn't like, doesn't do the right thing for the players.
Yeah.
But this is obviously a business move for him.
Of course.
So that's just plain and simple.
And the thing about it is that, listen, a lot of people that are criticizing him right now are people that don't do as much as he does already with social injustice and everything. So it's just a lot of talking. That's pretty much what it is. But I mean, listen, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he has done a lot for social injustice. So, yes, this is, I think, mostly a business number one. But I do think he's going to try to do something. And I do think if trying to be an owner is actually big. We heard Diddy do that before where he said he tried to buy the Carolina Panthers. Now Jay-Z's mentioned trying to do that. I think being ownership, you can change from within. So I think him trying to be an owner is actually bigger than people are making it out to be. They're just saying, oh, he's joining the enemy. I mean, I don't think he's joining the enemy. I think he's trying to change the enemy from within.
Yeah, but not only just being an owner, though. Having the other owners on your side also, because you know how that is.
Yeah.
You can make change, you can make moves, but the other owners have to be obviously on the same page as you.
Yeah.
That remains to be seen. And you're right. I mean, Jay-Z has done a lot for the black community, for the minority community. Obviously for New York. For the people that didn't have, wealth and those opportunities growing up. So he's definitely done good things, for the community. So, but that remains to be seen. And good luck, Jay-Z.
Well, one person that's probably not wishing him too much luck is Eric Reed. Eric Reed has been very hard on him. He pretty much said that it's disgusting that he wants to be an owner, which I don't personally get.
Despicable.
If you're how are you gonna criticize him for trying to be an owner, trying to do something within, yet you signed your contract and you're working within that same league too? Yep. Don't talk about you can't work with the NFL until Colin is back, and he's mentioned that, and also Colin's girlfriend has mentioned that when you are working with the NFL, you're getting checks from the NFL also. So unless you're gonna say, all right, I'm not gonna work unless Colin's back, you can't tell somebody else to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a little biased too because obviously, Reed is best friends with Kaepernick. Mm-hmm. So obviously it's hard for that emotion not to be there, right? That connection to a good friend that's pretty much blackballed out of the league, who probably, is better than, a number of quarterbacks out there. Yeah. So if he was given a true opportunity. Yeah. So I think it's personal for him also, so that's why it's tough for him to obviously, not keep his mouth shut and not voice his opinions.
Yeah. So let's move on to some on the field stuff. And you're a Giants fan. Our producer is a Giants fan.
G-Man!
And now Daniel Jones has had a but we'll talk about that. But he's had a second stint at being the quarterback, and both stints were pretty good. This one was a little bit rough. We had a couple fumbles and showing a little bit of the growing pains. But what do you think of it so far?
Listen, I think
the truth came out.
Listen, I think he's held his own. Obviously, that first game he came out slinging and. He was perfect 5 for 5 or whatever, and he threw for a touchdown. This game you saw a little different side with those 2 fumbles, and he still passed for a touchdown. It's just like anything else.
On a nice path, right?
He's a rookie. Yeah, he's a rookie though. Listen, he's gonna have those mistakes, so to speak. But as long as he learns from those mistakes, he grows, and playing. Second fiddle to Eli Manning. Hopefully he learns from in my eyes probably the best quarterback that the Giants franchise has ever had. 2-time Super Bowl MVP winning quarterback. Yeah. Hopefully he's learning under and Eli has taken him under his wing and he learns as much as he can from Eli. Yeah. But from what I've seen. Listen, it looks good. It looks good, and I think we have a good future with this quarterback when he takes his team.
So then the question comes then, and people are starting to say it, the Giants are a team that's trying to rebuild, they're trying to move on, and Daniel Jones does look good. Should he actually have a chance to be the starter?
I differ in this opinion. It's tough because, right, you probably should give him the opportunity to win the starting job, right, in the preseason. If he's shown that he's better than Eli,
supposed to start the best people.
And then he deserves to start,
there should
right?
be no slacking. Whether you're a veteran, whether you're a champion, you need to keep the level up.
But, the other side of it, Eli, this is Eli's team, and you want Daniel Jones to, learn from Eli. You want him to not be thrown, in the fire, so to speak. Yeah. So maybe you want him to start on the bench and learn. So I kind of think that's the safe route, and I think that's what the Giants are obviously, putting forth for this season. I think that can be good and bad because obviously if Eli's not playing well, let's say, then you have an excuse to bring Daniel Jones in.
Yes.
So if he is playing good, then at least Daniel Jones is going to learn from, again, like I said, 2-time Super Bowl MVP champion. So I think it's the safer route, obviously, for Daniel Jones to start on the bench, and I think that's what their game plan is pretty much.
Over or under 4 starts for Daniel Jones this year? 4 starts.
I say I'm going to take the over on that.
Really?
I'm going to take the over on that. I think he'll be playing probably.
So around midseason, you think he's taking over as starter?
Maybe midseason or maybe a little after midseason. So, but he'll definitely get more than 4 games starting. So.
He's going to steal the job.
He's going to steal the job. Listen,
maybe.
Listen, he's a rookie. He's going to go through rookie issues. If you're picked 6th overall in the NFL, you have to eventually start that first year. So he's going to get starts no matter what the owner says. I hope he doesn't start a game this year. Obviously, you're going to say that because that means you're winning with Eli. But he's going to get starts this year. I think it'll probably be, I'm not sure what week your bye week is, but I would say right around the bye is usually the time when they make the change because it gives them that extra week to get them up to speed for starting. So I think that'll probably be around that time. By the way, you know what I was looking at? They were showing that little stat on ESPN with Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
And they showed the stats last year. Can you in your head, think what his stats were for touchdowns and interceptions last year?
Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. Because I was very shocked,
Really?
to be honest with you.
I'm not a good numbers guy, but I'll just guess.
Knowing that everybody said he had a bad year.
Okay, knowing that everybody said that he had a bad year.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with, I don't know, 35 touchdowns and 15 interceptions.
He only had 25 touchdowns.
Wow.
But the weird part, he had 2 interceptions.
That's crazy.
Was it 2?
2. 25 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. How does somebody have a bad year with 2 interceptions?
Yeah, that's
And he still threw for 4,500 yards.
because he only threw for 25 touchdowns. When you put Aaron Rodgers' name on it, you're thinking 35, 40, 45 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's probably why they said that.
I mean, when you
that's
look,
a great year though.
Yeah, because when you look at it, he had pretty much all rookie wide receivers because Cobb got hurt for a little bit. Devontae Adams missed a game or 2, so he was pretty much working with all rookie wide receivers. Jimmy Graham was horrible last year, so it was like he wasn't really working with the best group there. But it's unbelievable to think he had 25 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and that's a bad year for him.
How many touchdowns did Devontae Adams have?
I think he had
Probably had like
14, 15.
wow.
Yeah.
There you go. More to what you just said.
He went to his guy. That's pretty much what it is. If you're the number 1 wide receiver on Aaron Rodgers' team, you're going to get over 10 touchdowns. You're going to get like 1,300 yards.
You're going to get the ball.
Yeah. So, but I thought that was interesting because everybody talks about, he had a bad year and everything like that, and he was hurt the whole year. That's another thing. Because remember, he got hurt early in the year. I think it was against Chicago.
Yeah,
and he was hurt the entire year. Remember, we thought he was going to be out for the year because he went to the locker room on a cart, and then he jogs back out at halftime and brings them back to beat the Bears.
Right? Yeah, he had a leg injury.
Yeah, it was the Sunday night game versus the Chicago Bears. He gets taken out. They write him off in a car, and then he comes back at halftime and pulls an upset and comes back from way behind to win that game.
Wow.
So it's crazy that when you think about the impressions of people and expectations and everything like that. But now that we, all right, so
Okay.
let's move on
It's not
to
a family show. You can say we're drinking beer.
We're drinking beer. I'm drinking Miller Lite.
Yingling.
He's drinking the Yingling. He loves Yingling. This
what are
guy.
you drinking, Vic?
So Vic, what you got, Vic? Vic?
Drink air pie. Yeah.
He's down for the count.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go a little bit of boxing because I mean, Vic's usually the big boxing guy, but we can get this in. We had a Tyson Fury come on ESPN this week, and he made the announcement that February 22nd will be the rematch with him and Deontay Wilder. First, do you believe him that's actually going to happen? Because there are people who don't believe that Wilder's going to fight Ortiz and then 3 months later fight Wilder, them fight against Fury. So there is a little bit of hesitance towards believing that. Do you think that fight is going to happen in February?
I won't believe it until I see it.
Really?
So, yeah. I mean, listen. People can talk on
Even Fury?
Yeah. I mean, listen.
The boxer himself is saying it.
Yeah, but still, regardless. Yeah. I mean. Has anything official came out?
No.
Is anything solid?
No.
Is anything concrete?
No.
Anything can happen too, with this fight.
And I always say with
you never know.
boxers, athletes, everything. I always say that the athlete is the last person to know. whether they're getting traded, whether they signed a new contract, they're always the last person to know.
Exactly. So until I see it, then I'm gonna believe it. So thank you.
So
Yes, that's going.
Should we ask Dawn?
now, assuming that the fight does happen, what do you think is going to happen in this one?
Man,
we had a great fight during the first time. It was a lot of drama. We saw Wilder and Fury pretty much outbox him most of the fight. We saw Wilder catch him in the 12th, thought he was dead, thought he was not moving, and then all of a sudden Tyson Fury rises like the Undertaker out of nowhere and gets up. And it was a great fight, ended up being a split decision draw. What's happening during the second one?
I'm gonna stick to my guns, man. I think Fury takes it.
Yeah.
Unanimous decision.
Fury says he's gonna knock him out this time.
I don't think he's gonna knock Wilder out.
I mean, he has a shot.
He has a shot, but I think if anybody's gonna knock somebody out, it's gonna be Wilder, obviously.
Yeah.
Because he obviously packs that punch.
Yeah.
I just think Fury, with his movement and his boxing style, I think it'll give Wilder another issue that night if and when they fight their rematch. He just moves so awkward too.
Yeah.
He's so awkward and unorthodox with his movement and his punches.
Yeah.
And you know he's just a great boxer. And it's crazy for a guy that big to be that,
to move that well.
Man, to move that well. I mean, it's almost like he's a dancer. Like it's like,
it is.
It's truly the sweet science.
I would say him and Usyk probably have the best feet for a big man out of it. Usyk is literally a dancer. Like I've seen videos of him like dancing and everything like that. He moves beautifully in the ring, and Fury's the same way. But I think this time. We saw the second half of the fight, Wilder started to get a little bit more comfortable, and I don't know if Fury was starting to get tired of moving around so much.
I think he did get tired.
But he did get caught in that 12th round. He got caught a little bit earlier too. He knocked down twice during that fight, and I think that in the second one he catches him a little bit earlier. And I think if he had, instead of catching him that down the 12th round, if he had caught him like down the 6th round, I thought he would have been able to finish him. But now, even though Fury did come back for that round, it was the end of the fight. Both guys were tired and everything. It was just all out. But I think he's going to catch him a little bit earlier, and I think Wilder can put him down. I think he's going to put him down for good this time.
So who did you have in the first fight, though? Who did you have winning? In your opinion, who won that fight?
I thought Fury won.
Okay. I thought Fury won, too.
I thought Fury won, but I had it closer than most people had it. There was people that had it like 9-3, 10. They gave him just the 2 rounds that he knocked him down. I was like, no. I had it 7-5. I thought it was a pretty close fight. And I had it, actually, I had 8-4.
I was going to say, I had it 8-4.
I had it 8-4, and then the 2 knockdowns made it closer and made a 2-point fight for me. But it was a really good fight, and he said it's going to be in Vegas this time.
Ooh, man. Hey, we out?
Petty
cash? Said at the same time. Look at that.
Listen.
Since Vic's not here, he's paying for the whole thing.
Vic, it's on you.
Trip is on Vic.
You just heard the man.
Listen, it's going to be one of those fights that, listen, we saw them fight in Staples Center, and now I thought it was going to be a chance that they fight in MSG, but it's become that big of a fight that it looks like it's going to be Vegas. But, I mean, it's not as bad as having it in Saudi Arabia, though.
No, man. Yeah.
I just really am upset about that. I hope that there's some way to change it, even though I don't think it is, because they already made the announcement and everything. But I hope that there's some way to change it, because it's just not the type of fight that should be over there. That fight should be over here. If Joshua wants to prove everybody that wrong, say, all right, it was a lucky punch and all that shit, then do it back in the MSG, the same place where you just got beat.
Down 4 times.
Maybe he's
do it
scared.
the same place.
Maybe he's scared to step in.
Then don't talk so much shit. Don't talk so much shit if scared. Like, what the hell is that? You gotta have that fight back over here again. Like, I understand you don't want to have it in Mexico. That's fine, but don't run back home to UK. Don't run to your second home in Saudi Arabia. Go back to the same exact place and have it at MSG.
That would be sick, man.
That's what it should be.
Estadio Azteca, though? If they had it at Estadio Azteca.
Oh my goodness.
God, that would be nuts, dude.
How packed with that crowd. What is that hold? Like 100,000? Pretty near
ridiculous. That? Yeah, I think more than that.
110? Oh,
we'd be out, right?
Oh, we definitely go there.
I'll show you a good time, Mexico, man.
Once
Just
again,
say my name and that's it. You're good.
Once again, Vic will pay for that too.
Listen, but boxing is actually in a pretty good thing right now. They got the Galapa fight set for October 5th. We'll be after that. Hey, that's not much petty cash, so we can go to that MSJ.
In Brooklyn.
It's not going to be in Brooklyn, but
Brooklyn.
There's some good events coming up. We got the Staples Center again with the Errol Spence versus Sean Porter. Even though that one shouldn't be on the West Coast, that should be on the East Coast, but that's another fight. So the state of boxing actually seems pretty good right now. What do you think about it?
Yeah, listen, I think they're putting up some good matches, some good fights. Obviously, there's more fights to put together. Contingent on what happens, who the winners are going to be from these fights. Hopefully, it sets up for a big 2020 or maybe a big ending to 2019. We'll see. So I mean, obviously, it's going to be a little awkward with Canelo not fighting next month.
Yeah.
But I think despite that, they've done pretty good. They've done pretty good with setting up some matches that are going to be good for the boxing fans.
Well, speaking of Canelo, it sounds right now that a deal is in place that assuming that Kovalev beats Yard, which I don't know if it's going to happen. I actually think Yard may pull that upset. But if Kovalev beats Yard, it looks like we're going to see Kovalev versus Canelo, the fight that he won in the first place. And not sure, probably going to be in Vegas because all his fights seem to be in Vegas right now. But what do you think about that fight? Sergey Kovalev versus Canelo Alvarez.
Listen, I think it'd be a good fight. Supposedly, there's only 2 fights that Canelo will take right now: Triple G or Kovalev. Those are the 2 big ones.
Well, no, those are the 2 that DAZN wants him to
Or
take.
DAZN wants him to take.
He wants to open up his options. He wants the goddamn zone. He wants to open up his options. He's saying, "Oh, I got like 7, 8 people that I can choose from," while DAZN is saying, "No, we want one of those 2." But it looks like both sides are going to get what they want because he's one of the 7 and he's one of the 2. So
well, as long as Kovalev wins, obviously.
That's true.
And that remains to be seen. But listen, Kovalev, the crusher, he still has a name. So I guess depends on how he looks with this fight versus Yard. So listen, if he looks great, it's definitely going to be a great fight to put together with Canelo.
So I already said I think Yard is going to pull that upset. But assuming Kovalev does win, who wins the Kovalev and Canelo fight?
Come on, man.
Is going to stop him?
See it, Paisano, of course, man. Are you kidding me? Set up a big showdown with Triple G next year? Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Listen,
Canelo's a beast.
Listen, I actually am going to agree with you. I think Canelo stops him. I think he pretty stops him probably within the first 6, 7 rounds. So, listen, I don't see Kovalev as this unstoppable monster that he looked like he was maybe about 4 years ago. He looks vulnerable.
He's lost a little bit.
Listen, once you get up there in age, and also once you've gotten cracked and knocked down a couple times, the aura's gone. So I think, and that's one thing I kind of worry about with Triple G, because he had those fights with Canelo, and even though he never got knocked down, he took he took some punishment that he hasn't taken his whole career. So I wonder now, since he hasn't really, he fought Rolls, but that's nothing. He hasn't really fought anybody since then. I want to see how he actually comes back, and this is a good fight for him on October 5th.
Yeah, Sergey's
young. This is a guy that wanted him for years when he had the IBF belt, and he actually passed him by to fight the Canelo fight. So now it's interesting that they end up fighting each other for the vacant IBF belt anyway. So that's going to be a really good fight. How do you see that fight going?
Oh man, that's good. I still think Triple G wins that fight. Mm-hmm. But I think Sergey's going to make it interesting. I really do. Because listen, remember, man, youth in boxing, it sometimes it can work against you, obviously.
Yeah.
Especially like you said. You just mentioned, Triple G has been in some wars with Canelo.
Yeah.
Listen, every punch cumulatively, it makes a difference through your career. So, and now when you're fighting a young lion who's young, who's hungry, who's determined, you never know. You never know on boxing.
That's gonna be a really good fight.
It should be a good fight, and it should be a fun night for boxing. So it's looked like yet another good card, match to put there for boxing.
They're ending the year pretty well. They had a rough 2019, but they're ending the year pretty well. Some good fights at the end of the year. So speaking of putting up some good fights, the New York Mets
right, baby,
had a rough week.
FGM, baby.
They had a rough week. They went 2-4. They dropped down to, they were a half a game or even for the wild card. Now they've dropped down 2 games back.
2 games.
And McNeil's still out. How long is he gonna be out now?
I think he's out for a couple more games.
So he is gonna be coming back right after the.
Yeah. So supposedly he's been doing some light running, and it doesn't look as bad as originally thought when he got injured. So hopefully he's back soon.
So ironically, you guys won 15 out of 16 games. Then you went on that 2-4 stretch.
Mm-hmm.
When you started playing a little bit better teams, and now you're playing Kansas City, which is another below average team that you should be able to beat.
Yep.
And then you have that hard stretch.
You guys are losing 3 matches.
Can they keep up? Knowing that when they finally did play against harder teams, they went down. Do you think they can keep up?
I think so. But again, like I said, earlier in the week, they're going to live and die with their bullpen. Their bullpen needs to pitch well. Their starting pitching, sometimes they have...
John Franklin ain't walking through that door.
Sometimes, for the most part, their star pitching is strong. But, the bullpen, I'll give you an example. Like the other night, against the Braves, they're winning. They put in Seth Lugo, who's been great lately, and they just have a horrific inning.
But he's been bad against the Braves, though.
Yeah,
he's had a.
I guess sometimes, but it's frustrating when one inning, and that's been kind of like the tale, like for the Mets, like this year. It's just that one inning they can't get through that one inning that kills the game, and they could have easily taken 2 out of 3 against the Braves, and obviously the Braves are a great team who's hot. They're obviously on their way to winning the division again this year. So it's just tough for those one innings, man. So, but I think the
Bullpens
Mets
have really sucked this year. There's no dominant closers anymore, unless you're like a Chapman or Kimbrel. Like, there's a lot of
even
bad
Chapman
relievers.
isn't really that dominant. Sometimes he's like a
it's his off game, but most of the time
he's just like erratic and stuff.
Most of the time he'll get a lockdown.
But
you don't really have to worry about him.
Like I said before, without McNeil, I don't think a run is possible. They need McNeil to make this run, so hopefully he comes back once he's done and they can weather the storm when he's out. And again, their starting pitching is going to keep them in games. It's whether their defense kills the game for them or their relief pitching.
So you got maybe about I would say half a week, if not a week, before he comes back. And right now you're 2 games out. Let's say we go back and revisit this a week later. What are they at? How many games will they be out?
Cleveland and the Braves.
I think I think we'll be.
Cleveland's good.
Yeah,
Cleveland's
they
really
are.
good.
They are. They're. I mean, obviously, they're beating the Yankees right now. So
Calm down.
But
That's
true.
You guys are losing too.
Who the hell is that pitcher? Yo, Yankees got to get some starters, man. Jeez.
I think. Listen, I think as long as they go 500 against those 2 teams, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll still be around 2-3 games out. And again, once we get McNeil, I think we'll roll. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do really well against this stretch. Again, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough when I'm McNeil.
Well, speaking of a tough road, the one thing I've actually paid attention to recently, and I could barely name 5 members on their team, but the Oakland Athletics are actually really good. They made a couple moves at the trade deadline, and they're right there, a half a game out of that second AL wildcard, and they're actually 6 games up on Boston. So everybody's still talking about, Boston has a chance to make it. They got a long way to go, and the A's are right there, and they're a good
That's the way
team.
Boston's been playing lately.
And listen, the A's can surprise some teams. Do you think they can get in there? I mean, you got the Rays there. You got obviously the central teams with the Cleveland Indians and the Twins. So one of them is going to win the division. The other one currently is in the wild card spot. Do you think the A's can get in there and knock one of those teams out?
I definitely think so. Crash Davis, I think, has been real ice cold lately. So I think they're going to need him for that stretch.
Yeah, they do.
So, but listen, like you said, they made some good moves. Half a game out.
Yeah.
Listen,
They're like that team that doesn't have anything great, but they're solid at everything.
Well, let me tell you though, they've done it quietly. Though.
Yeah.
It's like
Nobody's talking about
them. Talking about the A's.
Everybody's talking about the Twins over talking about the A's, and they pretty much have the same record.
But listen, the A's are one of those teams, man. They make it to the playoffs, and anything's possible. You never know.
But that's the thing. Now, if they're in the wild card, they have that 1-game playoff. They don't have that big stud number 1 guy to make sure they win that game. Like if Boston got in, you got Chris Sale.
Yeah.
And you look at Oakland, and they don't have that big guy. I mean, Kluber will be eventually come back to Cleveland. He's an ace, but Oakland, can you really say, all right, this guy's going to get me into the playoffs with that 1-game wild card?
It'll probably be another opener. Which I don't agree
Oh my
with,
God!
but,
Hey, it worked for Milwaukee last year. I don't know how, but it did. They used the opener. They beat the Cubs.
Well, it didn't work for
to win the division.
It didn't work for Oakland last year.
And then they continued to use it, and it actually gave a little bit of trouble to the Dodgers. So they found a way to win around. Listen, the opener found a way to work. I don't know. I hate it because
I don't like it either.
Because listen, you got to have a starter. You got to find a way to get started. He's got to give you 6 innings. If you got a good pitcher, that you get 7 innings. But I can't go with this. Let's start somebody for 2 innings and then switch them after that. Like,
And it's against the grain. It's against your traditional, baseball game where, again, you have your one guy, right, that you look to win that game for you.
yeah. Now I understand the benefits because if you're going to start with an opener, then you can't really have a lineup set against that.
Correct.
Like, because let's say maybe the Braves should do this since their bullpen is so bad anyway. Let's say you start with a lefty like Newcomb, who's in the bullpen right now. You play 2 innings. Then you come in with a righty like Tukey, and then it switches the whole lineup. So if you're going against the Dodgers, you can't stack the lefties, you can't stack the righties because you're going against both of them within the first two times coming up to hit. So I see its benefits if you don't have a top guy, but to me, you have to get that ace out there.
Yeah, and the problem is, you never know. Listen, you could have that first pitcher, start your opener, and all of a sudden, what if he gets slammed for 3-4 runs in the first inning?
Yeah.
Then what do you do?
Yeah.
Oh man, now you got to go to another pitcher in your bullpen. Now you've exhausted 2 arms in your bullpen. It could definitely blow up in your face, so to speak. So that's why you want your horse, right?
Now, one thing I have thought of is, and I even thought about this because I'm a Braves fan, and somebody like Julio Teheran, who only pitches 5 innings every game, he never really goes that far because he throws so many pitches. Have him come out there and throw maybe 3 innings, and then have somebody like Newcomb, who's a lefty, come in there and throw maybe 3 innings, and then you're only using 2 guys and you're through 6 innings already.
Yeah, I think I would do something. I'm more inclined to do something like that.
Yeah.
Where you have again a starter, a solid starter.
Get to the lineup once.
Who's who's obviously conditioned.
Yeah.
To pitch multiple innings, and
You got to be able to get through the lineup at least once. I mean, I understand if you're, because that's actually the biggest thing will be the difference between being a starter and a reliever. The starter has to be able to save some pitches, go through the lineup more than once. He can't throw everything out there. The reliever just go out there and gun it.
Yep.
And that's why I think that if you're going to go by that strategy, go out there, get through the order one time, switch the pitcher, and let him go all out, and then another pitcher, he can go all out. So I can see the premise of how it can work, but I'm just not a fan of it. I want that guy who's going to say, you know what, I want my Mike Soroka out there and just say, listen, go out there and give me 7 innings. That's it.
And it's definitely tough, obviously, as a starter because, the second time, third time around the order, obviously the hitters have seen your pitches, have seen, what you're throwing, so they're more inclined to obviously get a pitch to hit, or get a pitch that they're familiar with to hit. So
speaking of familiar with, our friend, the soccer expert Dre, just walked into the room. He's trying to hide. He's trying to hide. Haven't seen this guy in like years, but.
Hey, listen, I'm still recovering from last night. Like you and.
At least you're hearing like some other people.
Vic, where you at, Vic?
Yeah.
Vic, hello.
Got news.
Vic,
Vic just
where you at,
woke
man?
Vic just woke up.
Vic
Just
just
woke
woke
up.
up.
He will be here in.
He'll be here next week.
T-minus 20 minutes.
He'll be here next week. That's when he'll wake up. But ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. And listen, there's a lot of you guys that watch us on Periscope. I need you guys to subscribe to the YouTube page. Like seriously, if we're getting 600, 700, even over 1,000 views on Periscope, we need to be getting some of you guys to subscribe on the YouTube page. So go right there and subscribe to the YouTube page. Get us up so we can do live streaming on YouTube.
Do it. Just go out. Do it. Let's go. New things to come.
Just do it.
And then
And
then on Wednesday, we probably have Mark Malusis from WFAN on air with us. So we'll talk to him about football, his Redskins, everything like that.
Why are we getting Francesca on here?
So he can fall asleep on air? We're not getting him on here.
Never.
He'll fall asleep on air. Actually, Mark's good friends with him, so. But listen, that's our show for today. We will catch you on Wednesday from Bogies. Peace.
Peace, mi gente. We love you.